Welcome to Money 911. I'm Kris Miller, and I'm your host. Today, we're breaking the prosperity spell, the cultural myths that hijack our relationship with money. Society programs us with distorted beliefs about money, success, capitalism, and greed. These myths quietly shape our financial stress, conflicts, and life choices. This episode opens the conversation about how culture influences our financial psychology. My special guest, Dr. David Gruder, is a 12-time award-winning best-selling futurist and clinical and organizational psychologist, which radio, TV, interview report named as America's integrity expert. He's a business macro mentor, executive team orchestrator, and a culture catalyst and psychological counselor who equips purpose-driven leaders, organizations, and helping professionals to make integrity profitable by providing missing mindset, skill sets, and procedures for effectively actualizing their unique calling in helping humanity's most elevated future emerge. Welcome, Dr. David Gruder. All right, David, it is a complete honor to have you here at Money 911. We couldn't really have a better headline here. And, you know, you speak my heart on these topics, and I'm really excited to have you here and do some deep dives. I know we won't get it all done at one time, but David, thank you so much for joining us. It's an honor to have you here.
Well, it's absolutely a pleasure to be with you. And I'm glad that after all of our technological challenges that we have finally gotten to where we can record this.
That's it right there. We'll have another show on that later. But to get to it, right, just to get right to what we want to talk about, you've spoken about society being under kind of like a money spell. And what do you mean by that? How does that affect everyday people?
Well, what everyday people are dealing with, I can divide, for the sake of simplicity, into two groups. You've got one group that insists that in order to be prosperous, you have to be willing to sacrifice integrity and relationships and well-being and all of those things. And the other group that insists that in order to retain integrity and well-being and relationships, you have to be willing to sacrifice prosperity. So we have this largely unspoken polarization in our society between these two main groups.
Well said. Well said. And that determines the longevity or the end of where people end up. It's the cultural myths shape our relationships with wealth, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And so the confusion between capitalism and the debt-driven lifestyles, like I've been doing this for 36 years, and unfortunately, helping people with healthy money, safe money, estate planning. David, what I found, I don't know what the stats are, it's sad. I would say 70 to 80% of people end up with nothing when they cross over because it's either a probate, a nursing home, or a stock market. So they've been taught only this one kind of a structure of capitalism and the debt-driven lifestyles, right?
Yes. That's true. I mean, what I have found is that people have no idea what the definition of money is and what the definition of capitalism is. And the societal delusion about capitalism is confusing capitalism with what I call debtism. And debtism is borrowing against an uncertain future in order to prop up the illusion of a lifestyle in the present. And that's just fiscal irresponsibility. It is not capitalism, it's debtism. And we see it mirrored from the top down, from national debt that's unsustainable, that role models to everyday people that it's okay for individuals and families to have unsustainable debt, and even over into businesses that don't know the difference between appropriate and business growing debt versus debt that threatens to kill the company.
Exactly. And I mean, don't you see it around us that, and nobody's really taught anything. You go to school, you learn how to make money, you get out of school. What do? Go make money and give it to somebody else to gamble. So the definition of money, right? What's your definition of money?
Well, I have distilled my definition of money into a kind of a fake formula, and I'll say what the fake formula is, and then I'll unpack it. And by fake, what I mean is it's not a mathematical formula. So it's $ equals lowercase p, uppercase L, uppercase E times 2C. Now, what that non-mathematical formula means is money equals, the P is portions, the LE is life energy, and the C is conversion. So money is portions of our life energy that we've chosen to convert into a form that we can trade, multiply, or pay forward. And the implications of that definition are massive in terms of fiscal responsibility. Should I give an example of what I mean?
Absolutely, please.
So hypothetically, let's pretend, just for the sake of round figures and simplicity, let's pretend that somebody is in a job that's paying them $20 an hour. Okay, so they're converting their life energy, the portion of their life energy that they're devoting to their job, at a rate of $20 per hour. So they go to the store because they need to buy some clothing, and they find a piece of clothing for $100. Again, hypothetically, just to make the numbers simple. What most people don't ask themselves, if they're converting the portions of their life energy that they're devoted to converting into money at $20 an hour, and they see a piece of clothing for $100, they don't ask themselves, of all the things I could be doing with 5 hours of my life energy, is this $100 piece of clothing worth 5 hours of my life energy? There's a total disconnect between the way in which and the rate at which I convert the portions of my life energy that I devote to converting into money, and the decisions I make about how to utilize that converted life energy that's now in the form of money. There's a total disconnect with all of that.
Wow, that's so well said. I'm just sitting here, God, how do we distill this to teach the children? This is the essence of that. I mean, everybody's children in a sense, but that is just bullseye, the truth. So what do you think the true root of greed is?
The true root of greed, and we should probably also define capitalism inside this definition of money, but the true root of greed is a faulty happiness formula. The true root of greed is the false belief that my happiness depends on how much money I make.
Right.
There's nothing wrong with making a lot of money and with having stuff and things and adventures and building up our nest egg and donating, paying it forward. There's nothing wrong with any of that. But when our definition of happiness is tied to that. That's where we get into a huge amount of trouble, because the myth is about, money corrupts and power corrupts. But the fact is that money and power are not the root of all evil.
Mm.
Love of money and power isn't even the root of all evil. Wrong relationship with money and power is the root of all evil. And when we don't even have a clear, practical definition of what money actually is, if we don't know that there are a whole bunch of things that we devote our life energy to, as we should, like hobbies and volunteer work and our relationships and our health. And I mean, there's a long list of things that we would ideally devote portions of our life energy to. If we don't understand that money conversion is one of the things we convert our life energy with, that we devote our portions of our life energy to, then we don't know how to get be self-sovereign with money, because we don't know how to value the worth of our life energy that we're converting into money. And we don't know what to do in terms of making decisions about the portions of our life energy that we've converted into money, in terms of how we use that converted life energy. That's the fundamental practicality about money, is those decisions. Valuing at what rate do we value the portion of our life energy that we devote to converting into money, and how much do we respect the value of the portions of our life energy that we've converted into money, in terms of what we do with that money.
Absolutely. Wow. That's so well said. And that, I mean, it makes so much sense. You were going to give us another definition too before.
Of capitalism.
Right, right.
So the psychology of healthy cooperative capitalism, which shouldn't be confused with sociopathic capitalism, because that very much exists. Sociopathic capitalism is about how a company manipulates people into buying what they don't need in order to maximize its own profits at the expense of social responsibility. That's sociopathic capitalism, and nobody should favor that. But most people don't know that there is such a thing as healthy cooperative capitalism. And what that is the definition of money. So if you can imagine, again, a fake formula, meaning not mathematically accurate, the definition of money, it's a fraction. So the definition of money, portions of our life energy in a converted form over agreements, meaning that what healthy capitalism is the amount of my life energy that I've converted into money that I would be devoting to acquiring a product or service that you have is an appropriate amount of my life energy to utilize for acquiring that. And you've priced what you're offering at a price point that's respectful of your life energy too. When we have an agreement that the amount of my life energy that it takes me in a converted form in money to acquire what you have at the rate that you're selling it at, because that's respectful of how you value the conversion of your life energy into money, we then have a mutually win-win, ethical, healthy, cooperative agreement about a transaction. That is the essence of healthy capitalism that nobody's talking about today.
Boy, well, that's why we're talking. And the clarity that you bring, I mean, I've got so many different questions, so we'll come back around, but that the clarity of that. And because people don't value themselves, like, they give themselves away and someone's standing there like, how do I value myself? Or how do I know what I'm worth? Maybe they're only getting $20 an hour, and that's as much as they can get in valuing their time spent of trying to achieve all of that to their life energy. With their family or having their life, right?
Well, this is part of the challenge, and I think you're raising it in a really good way, Kris.
Thank you.
Because
Thank
you. The challenge is that people aren't taught to value their life energy. And so all of us have seen pie charts for budgets, right? You've got a pie chart where you've got different size pie slices that are representing the amount of money or the percentage of money that's allocated to various things. So we've all seen financial pie charts, but very few people understand the wisdom of constructing a life energy pie chart.
Boy, right? Great. Yeah, that's not. Yeah.
No, a life energy pie chart includes all of the slices of our life energy that we devote to various things. And I mentioned some of those things before. Things like health and well-being and self-care and relationships and hobbies and volunteer work and whatever a person has. That varies from one individual to another, but all of us have pie slices of varying sizes in terms of what we devote portions of our life energy to. And when people construct their life energy pie chart as it currently exists, they tend to discover that they have an oversized pie slice devoted to monetization, portions of their life energy that they convert into money, that's squeezing out the size of the pie slices of other things that they want to be devoting their life energy to. And the reason that's instructive is that when people start seeing that, they then start looking at, well, what is the value of my life energy that I convert into money? Am I underestimating that? Am I devoting too much of my life energy to monetization because I'm charging too little per hour, if we're talking on a per hour basis, or too little per transaction for my expertise?
That just rolls right into the money is energy. And so why do you think money and spirituality, they've been separated, right?
Yeah.
Right. And the con job of the whole illusion that you gotta just make money and there's no sense, as that you've been talking about, of your life energy, that you wake up and you're almost gone. And what did you do?
Exactly. And this is tied to the faulty happiness formula that was installed in the 1950s, that in the United States was called the American Dream.
Right.
And that spread around the world so that lots of other people in lots of other places started aspiring to live the American dream as well, either in their country or moving to the United States, or however they wanted to go about doing that. But the 1950s version of the American dream is fundamentally delusional and is completely contradictory to the original American dream vision.
That's absolutely true.
So I don't know if I should unpack that.
Do, because that was the essence of the question, is why those money and spirituality have been separated. Why you don't take God out of everything. And it's like this two separate things. Right.
So let me start with the original American dream. And what I'm about to describe is not just the American dream. This is the dream of all societies around the globe that value personal freedom.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So the original American dream and of all societies is, you can imagine a pyramid, and at the top of the pyramid is the pursuit of happiness.
Right.
And in service of the pursuit of happiness, at the bottom of one corner of the base of the pyramid is freedom, and at the base of the other end of the pyramid is responsibility. So the whole idea is that in a free society, we are daring to harmonize personal freedom and the common good. That's the terminology that is built into the United States' mission statement that most Americans don't even know the United States has, because it's not called a mission statement. It's called the preamble to the United States Constitution. But what the preamble sets forth is a country not only whose government is supposed to be a servant to its citizens, but a country that is designed to harmonize the seeming conflicts between personal freedom and the common good. So that the whole idea of a healthy society is that there's harmony between personal freedom and the common good. Exactly. That's the original vision. And that leads us to a spiritual relationship with money, because pursuit of happiness is not pursuit of money. It's pursuit of happiness.
Boom. Yeah.
Okay. Yep. Now, the 1950s delusion of the American dream that replaced the original American dream replaced at the top of the pyramid the pursuit of happiness with excessive consumerism.
Right.
The faulty happiness formula.
Right.
And in service of excessive consumption, at the one corner of the base of the pyramid, instead of freedom, it was conformity to an imposed version of what the good life was, which was owning the home with the white picket fence and the 2-car garage and the 1.8 children. I'm being facetious here, of course.
Right.
And the vacations and the thises and the that's, and all of above everything else, keeping up with the Joneses, always having the latest model car and the latest consumer appliances and the latest wardrobe, and et cetera, et cetera. So freedom was replaced with conformity, and responsibility was replaced with overwork.
Boom.
Because the delusional version of the American dream required people to work in jobs that they weren't delighted with, in working longer and longer hours to climb the ladder to get more and more raises in a company whose values they didn't necessarily agree with, who would then come home from work exhausted and unfulfilled. And all they had energy left for was to sit in front of the boob tube and veg.
Exactly.
While the rest of their family was just aching for their connection and their love and their time spent in quality relationship.
Yeah.
So this is delusional. It is the essence of our cultural and let me say it this way, the essence of our cultural money shadow, where happiness equals overconsumption, happiness equals money and life energy debting. And by the way, it's no coincidence that because of this faulty formula installed in the 1950s, that by the early 1960s, consumer debt numbers had exploded already, and they're far worse now than they were then.
Right.
In businesses, happiness equals slavery to insatiable growth, as though business success depends on always getting larger and larger and larger, which it doesn't necessarily depend on. Depends on the business. So the net result of that is people being burnt out and unfulfilled, people going into greater and greater amounts of debt, developing therefore an anti-work attitude and an anti-business attitude, which then leads to entitlement. I'm giving up all of this stuff. I'm entitled to get perks at work without having done the work necessary to deserve those perks or to deserve those raises. And then businesses were encouraged to create demand for things that consumers didn't necessarily need, which then caused consumers to get even more resentful, which then caused consumers to look to the government to regulate businesses into overregulation. So then businesses were caught in the trap of how do we get around the overregulation in order to be profitable, so that government, what government was set up to do was that these businesses that were behaving in unethical ways, they were giving the government an engraved invitation to come in and overregulate them for them. And the cost of overregulation expands the amount of money the government needs to function, which then increases taxation on individuals and businesses, which then causes individuals and businesses to resent the government even more. It's a vicious cycle, and it's all an outgrowth of a faulty happiness formula that completely undid the original American dream and the dream of all free societies.
Unbelievable. Boy, I could see that animated. I mean, literally, that whole movie. That I've never heard it said so clearly in one full suite. There, that's incredibly, absolutely true, on every angle there too, and especially the entitlement, all of it.
And that's the essence of debtism. We're debting our life energy. We're debting in terms of consumer debt. I'll give you one other quote before you go forward from Paul Hawken, who was an economics genius back in the day. And he said, "At present, we are stealing the future, selling it in the present, and calling it gross domestic product."
Wow.
Nuts. Total nuts. Yeah, but it's a societal spell that people don't know that they've been manipulated into buying into.
Right. Right. And I mean, don't you think in the next couple of years that is absolutely going to change into another level?
Well, it's in the process of changing because the nature of consumer demand has changed since the second half of the 1900s. In the second half of the 1900s, consumer demand was all manipulated and controlled by this delusional version of the American dream. So consumer demand was about materialism. It was about who was going to manipulate me best into buying their products and services. In the early 2000s, consumer demand evolved into what was then called the experience economy, where people were wanting to buy great experiences with the products and services they were purchasing. That's when Apple really came to the forefront, because they were offering an aesthetically pleasing and user-friendly experience with personal computers that at that time the conventional Microsoft-based personal computer was not offering. And that's also the point in time where ecotourism and things like that started to expand its market share. So the experience economy started to replace or build on top of the materialism economy. Then in the 2010s, consumer demand evolved again, and it evolved into what, not my term, I didn't invent the term experience economy. That's what the marketing and sales professional journals called that economy. And then they dubbed the next evolution of consumer demand in the 2010s the transformation economy, where consumer demand evolved to the point where they wanted a self-actualization experience with the products and services they were buying. And now the consumer demand is evolving again from the transformation economy, which was, like I said, about self-actualization, into something that the marketing and sales journals haven't come to a standard name for yet, but what I call the transcendent economy, where people are looking for higher purpose, meaning, and impact through the products and services that they're offering. So they're looking for something greater than only themselves. They're looking for self-transcendence on top of self-transformation. And that evolution of consumer demand is what's going to right the boat.
Okay, that leads right into the next thing I was going to talk with you about, integrity, and how that changes the whole financial equation.
Oh.
That's not a small question, but we have a whole show on that one.
Yeah,
right?
we could. And so, having to do with money, integrity has two main pieces. One is being in integrity with how I allocate portions of my life energy, and from that, being in integrity with the level at which I value the worth of the portions of my life energy that I convert into money. So I maximize my life energy conversion into money to the greatest extent I can, in the smallest amount of time I can, so that I have enough life energy left over to attend to all of the other slices of my life energy pie chart. So that's the money, the life energy part of money integrity. The other part of integrity is, once I've converted those portions of my life energy that I've devoted to converting into money, am I in integrity with how I am utilizing that converted life energy, in terms of what am I spending it on? What am I paying? What are my bills and what are my discretionary expenses? How much of my converted life energy into money am I turning into an employee through proper investments? And what percentage of the life energy of mine that I've converted into money am I converting into paying it forward, donations, things like that? So integrity has all of those pieces to it with money.
Boy, I just want to break all of those down, right? Just the integrity. And then most everybody is taught at looking out on the outside, so they don't even know what their inside the integrity is. And so it's just confused. So, by the time they get to what they call retirement, they didn't even take the time to put something aside for that. The whole thing is they just keep investing in business and on the gamble that it's going to all work out. It's just a mud pie. It's just a mess, right?
It's a total mess. And here's why. People are not taught to understand that sooner or later, unless they die, or until they die, sooner or later they will reach financial independence. And what I mean by financial independence is that if someone lives long enough, they will ultimately get to the point where they're no longer in a position to work the larger number of hours they would need to work in order to convert portions of their life energy into money. So at some point, if we live long enough, all of us will become financially independent. But what financial independence means in that framework that I just described is whatever amount of money we have put aside to function as our employee in order to pay our bills and meet our expenses so we can live our ideal calendar lifestyle and legacy without being dependent on putting hours into working to convert more of our life energy into money. That is financial independence. Everybody reaches it unless they die prematurely, and people aren't taught that. And when they don't know that, they don't have the necessary incentive to build toward an integrous and self-responsible version of financial independence.
I am so grateful for this conversation. I mean, because the clarity in the way that you can talk all of these things that nobody can talk about, and taking, in essence, someone standing there's like, this makes so much sense. But it's almost far beyond, like, how do I take money and spirituality and integrity? How do I make all of that? Would I take a piece of pie and cut it up? Or, how does one that's just sitting here listening to the beginning of this conversation, which we will continue, what do I do? How do I wrap around all that you said simply?
There are a lot of dimensions to the spiritual relationship with money that we'll get into in the future.
Perfect.
But what I'll say for now is that even the best financial literacy programs that I've ever come in contact with don't touch on this. Don't touch on what we have been discussing today. And that Exactly. is a huge gap in financial literacy, because the good financial literacy training programs, actually, to implement them, it requires us to have the fundamental understanding about money and life energy that you and I have been discussing today.
Right. Exactly. And that's why I'm honored to have you on my broadcast, and with prayers to be a part of the financial wellness program that my goal is to get out to millions of people. I feel like I'm running in front of a fire right now. I trust the Spirit. I know it's going to work out, but it's a not money 911, and people have to hear what you're talking about. And so we're talking about it. Tell everybody right now how they can get in touch with you, and what's going on with you right there. So till we can come back again, because we will be coming back.
Sure. The best single place to go to is my main website, which is drgruder.com. That's spelled drgruder.com. So the doctor abbreviation for doctor. No period or dot in between doctor and Gruder. drgruder.com.
Perfect. Well, we're going to have more elaboration on all that, and a wonderful conversation about integrity and the foundation of financial success and all of the beautiful things that you're talking about. One, diamond on the top that you want to leave with everybody for today.
Sure. Your life energy is far more precious than you've probably been taught to believe. And it's never too late to develop right relationship with your life energy and your value.
Dr. David Gruder, thank you so much for being here, and we will talk soon.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you. That's a wrap for this transformative episode of Money 911. A huge thanks to Dr. David Gruder for sharing his deep insights with us today. If you found this discussion enlightening, please share it with your friends, subscribe to our podcast, leave us a review, and let us know what you want us to talk about. Let's keep evolving our financial consciousness and striving toward multi-dimensional wealth. Until next time, I'm Kris Miller, reminding you that true wealth starts within. Stay inspired, and God bless. I've created the Safe Money Blueprint. This is the same strategy that thousands of my clients have used to feel secure about their financial future. And you can get it free at healthymoneyhappylife.com/blueprint. There's so much to learn about healthy money. I hope today's discussion brings you one step closer to securing and protecting your future. So you can get started on the right foot, go to meetwithchrismiller.com and schedule your free financial fitness strategy session. Thank you for listening, and please subscribe to Money 911 so you don't miss our next episode, which includes health, wealth, and peace of mind.